Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome back to the table. I have a little bit of a diving into two books for you here, Legends and Legends 2. I want to go over just kind of the layout of what these books are about, show you inside these two books a little bit, and just give some thoughts. And I encourage you to give your thoughts in the comment section down below. So BattleTech Legends and Legends 2 here are from Catalyst Game Labs, and they are what I call luxury item books. Not because they're luxurious in that literal sense, but because they are completely unnecessary for anything with the BattleTech setting. And it's not a bad thing. They purely exist for people like myself who enjoy collecting in a setting that they really like. BattleTech is my favorite sci-fi setting, so I'm always down to throw money at it to collect stuff because that's just how my brain does. But in any case, you know, the point is you don't need Legends or Legends 2 to do anything or even learn anything, but there's still lore in here and some things a little bit more expanded upon for the characters because this is a character collection setup of books. Legends never die is what it says on the back of both. And what's cool is this Centurion, this Chameleon, and these two Battle Masters are each in their respective books. So that's kind of neat. Now, before we go inside, these books are a little pricey, being a luxury item, as I call it. That's also what I kind of mean by that, too. But when you buy it from their web store, you get the PDF alongside it. And let's say they don't have the physical copy anymore, or you don't want the physical copy, you can always buy the PDF for a reduced price. Really smart on their part. It's something I think other companies should kind of really consider trying out because it is rather smart. So, with that said, from what I gather, or because I don't find these, I should say, in local gaming stores, but you could find this in local gaming stores. And the one problem with that is if you buy it there, you're not getting a PDF. So I think what should be done is there should be a redemption code thing on their web store, and the books should come with just a series of alphanumeric series of codes. And it should be in there with the book shrink wrapped or whatever, and that way, no matter what you buy, you can get the PDF. But that's neither here nor there. Um, in any case, as we can see, we have all of the eras in the timeline covered in these books, and what you get is basically some lore, and then you get some more lore because this actually is a series of character compilations, more or less. So here's Charles Kincaid from the Star League era, and this is the Mackie, the first ever battle mech built. And what we have here on these two pages is intel on the Mackie, information on who this character is with their own portrait, the mech's portrait, you could say, and then lore on the character and their mech or piece of tech of choice. And that's kind of cool because, you know, as much as we know the character name, perhaps, of, let's say, Alexander Kerensky, we also know when you dig into it that he really was an Orion connoisseur, right? That was his mech of choice. So the mech kind of becomes part of the character of Alexander Kerensky as well, in a sort of way. You know what I mean? So it's cool to see a portrait for Alexander Kerensky and his Orion. And again, the intel up top. And that's more or less how it goes. And then we go into another era. We have more lore and then mechs. And here is Hans Davion's personal battle master. And as you can see, that's the one on the cover. Now, what's really cool about this, we'll use this as the example, is that let's say you want to paint up House Davion forces, and this is a scheme that they use, right? It's not just Hans Davion's. Um, and let's say you have a battle master and you want to replicate this. This is a great shot, right? A great I was gonna say um inspirational shot, but you already were inspired to do this particular scheme. So it's a great reference shot. I mean, the cover is cool too, but it's a little busy, isn't it? Here you just see everything real clean and real plainly, at least from this angle, and that pretty much covers a lot of what you need. So you could use these books outside of just reading the cool lore. Who doesn't like lore? And you can use it for as a reference slash inspiration for painting up models if you have any miniatures, whether or not you're playing the game. If you just want to paint them up a certain way, this could be a source of inspiration for that. Plus, you get to learn more about these particular characters. You see their portraits, and that's pretty cool. This is Natasha Kerensky, her character portrait, if you will, and then her Warhammer, the Black Lady. Again, you could use this as a way to try and emulate this on a miniature, or just learn more about a cool character. Here we have the Phantom Mech himself, Morgan Kell, with his archer. So you get the idea. Now, even though we see that this is the invasion era that we're in, this is the Centurion from the back of the book. It's not just clan. There's also, as you can see, inner sphere during this era, but it's not literally just that time period, because this is Nicholas Kerensky, the father of the clans, and this is his Atlas too, because back in the day, there were no Omnimechs when he was around, so nowhere close to being alive during the clan invasion, Operation Revival. But because we're introducing the clans with this era, we're getting to see Nicholas Kerensky, so that's pretty cool. And if you've played Flashstorm at all, you can see Ulrich Kerensky right there, and this art and the way they made him in that CGI cutscene, very nice. This book came out first, so very nice that they matched that pretty well for that cutscene. And yes, he did prefer the gargoyle. So that's more or less how it goes with the Legends books. However, Legends 2 expands upon that a little bit. So before I open it up, if you're still here, awesome. Let me know your thoughts. And if you're not subscribed, why not? You're still here. It's free and easy to alpha strike that subscribe button and help combat that algorithm, as well as be further informed when I go live or just post videos, so you can be part of future conversations in real time or in the comment section. Anyways, consider giving it a shot. This is Legends 2, and this does more the same as Legends 1 did. However, it plays upon that a little bit more because we get cool cowboy hat. But on top of that, this is a Shalom bomber. So we're not just doing mechs, right? This is actually Tyra Miraborg's Shalom. And if you know the lore or you play MechWarrior 5 Clan Smoke Jaguar campaign, you know that name. You know why this is important. And that's what her aircraft look like if you were trying to paint one up similarly. We also have tanks. And you're welcome. I'll be here all week. Anyways, demolish your heavy tank, nothing to sneeze at, right? Cool to see color application on vehicles as well as the mechs and of course the flyer there. But it's not just that. We also get elemental battle armor. This is Paul Moon, and that is his elemental battle armor during his time in the Fidelis. That's why it's that bold red. So we get lore about Paul Moon, the Fidelis, and the elemental battle armor a little bit as well, and the intel up there, of course. Now, what's cool is that if something had a name, like this direwolf does, this is a good example, because this direwolf, where are you? What's that say? Is custom. I thought I said modified, but no, that's another one. Same concept, so you know it's not a standard loadout, and it's got a name. So that's what they would be if that is the case. But this is elemental battle armor. It's just in that bold Fidelis red. And we get some pretty cool lore on Paul Moon and the Fidelis and everything. So we're going way past the invasion era, which this is the era we're in of the book. And, that's cool. We're just kind of compartmentalizing stuff. And with that, we also get one more elemental battle armor to look at in this book. Lincoln Osis, a well-known name as well. Massive elemental. And this is his battle armor, his elemental battle armor. And I really like the way the color is applied there. It's not just black. It's almost like Black Panther-esque style, but it's not Omega Galaxy. So yeah, it just looks really cool. And both Paul Moon and Lincoln Osis's elementals suits make me wish that we had a 28mm version of the modern elemental suit. We have one for the classic elemental from Ironwind Metals. I would love a 28mm one of the modern interpretation of the suit because it looks really cool. Anyways, outside of that, more of the same here. Hey, look at that. Quadruped mech, rare sight. And that's the chameleon from the back of the book. So more of the same, some lore scattered throughout as well, short story style, not just for the characters. So they are cool books, entirely optional books to really expand your lore horizon a little bit, put a face to a name and a piece of tech, a mech or a vehicle to the name as well, which can be a great source of inspiration for collecting a mini and painting it, or just cool to know, right? Especially if you're learning the BattleTech lore and you're reading up about different eras and you're hearing these names and maybe you get a description of them or what they used, but that's about it. To be able to, open the book and go, oh, that's Tyra Miraborg and that's her Shalone, or hey, that's what her Shalone looks like and that is hers, is pretty cool. Or hey, that's a supernova. Cool to see it, right? Stuff like that. A Battle Master. So I really like these books for that, but it's entirely optional. They're a little pricey, like I said, but the PDF is definitely cheaper. And if you don't care about having physical copies, which I do care, I try to have physical copies whenever I can. But if you don't care about that, you can get the PDF versions of these for cheaper and get all the same great stuff. So I like them, but I totally understand why there might be a reason people aren't super into these books. Right, it's not something that you're going to be. Let's see if you can see the detail, on his leg there. It's not something that you're necessarily going to think about getting at, first pops into mind when you're thinking about expanding your ability to play the game, or even necessary to learn the setting at large. Because this is much more like a microcosm setup of the individual characters, which again is really cool and a great way to embellish and flesh out what you're learning when you're getting involved with the setting. So a decent amount of characters are actually covered in between these two books. If they had enough names to do a third book, I would not be opposed to it at all, personally. But what do you think? Do you own these yourself? Would you get it now that you've seen a little bit more about it? What are your thoughts? If you were kind of on the fence, are you still on the fence, or are you of sound mind and made a decision for yourself? Doesn't mean you're gonna go get it, but do you like them, or you just pass? Whatever the case is, share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks so much for taking the time out every day to spend it here at the table with me, and until next time, take care.